Good evening. Good evening. This is Lynette, and it's about time. This is the 21st Century Watchman's channel, and we are on um, great. Uh, First Kings 5 and 6, and Second Chronicles 2 and 3. They are the same, so we won't go through everything in both or all four of the chapters. Once we get through one of them, we'll see the differences, and it not and they're very few and far between. And this is about the building of um, the temple. Solomon's finally getting down to the business. He's 4 years in to his reign as king, and he is now getting down to the business of building this temple. And that's where we are. Remember that this is a chronological Bible study. So what we're doing, that's why the um, First Kings is going along with Second Chronicles. They mirror each other, and so why would we go through them, separately? Go through Chronicles and then go through Kings, then go through Chronicles. We go through them together. That way we get the whole story and what it means. No repeats. Is just right there together. All right, we're ready. Let's go. Chapter 5, verse 1. Here, Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants to Solomon when he heard that they had anointed him king in place of his father, for Hiram had always been a friend of David. Then Solomon sent a word to Hiram, saying, "You know that David, my father, could not build a house or a temple for the presence of the Lord his God because of the wars which surrounded him, until the Lord put his enemies under his feet. But now that the Lord my God has given me rest from war on every side, there is neither adversary nor misfortune. Um, and so, behold, I intend to build a house to the name of the Lord my God. This is the Lord said to my father David, your son whom I will put on your throne in your place shall build a house for my name and presence. So now command that they cut cedar trees from Lebanon for me, and my servants will join your servants, and I will give you whatever wages you set for your servants. For you know that there is no one among us who knows how to cut timber like the men of Sidon." Isn't that nice? How complimentary this man was. So Solomon knew how to. We've been reading the Proverbs up until now, and Solomon knew how to be gentle with a word and how to give compliments. This is a wisdom that he had. He knew when to give us, a soft word, and how to address another king, which is wonderful. And he knew how to have good relationships with people. That's wisdom. He was definitely a wise man. When Hiram heard the words of Solomon, he rejoiced greatly and said, "Blessed be the Lord this day, who has given David a wise son over, to be king over this great people." By the way, I'm reading the Amplified version. So Hiram sent a word to Solomon saying, "I have heard the message which you sent to me. I will do everything you wish concerning the cedar and cypress timber. My servants will bring the logs down from Lebanon to the Mediterranean Sea, and I will have them made into rafts to go by sea to the place or port that you direct me. Then I will have them broken up there, and you shall carry them away. Then you shall return the favor by providing food for my household." So Hiram gave Solomon all the cedar and cypress timber he desired, and Solomon gave Hiram 20 cores of wheat as food for his household and 20 cores of pure olive oil. Solomon gave all these to Hiram each year. The Lord gave Solomon wisdom, just as he promised him, and there was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty. That's what you want. That's what you want to happen. This is verses 1 through 12 already. Then King Solomon levied forced laborers from all Israel, and the forced laborers numbered 30,000 men. Forced laborers sounds like slavery, but okay though. He sent them to Lebanon, 10,000 a month in ships. So he didn't send them all at once. He sent them 10,000 a month in ships. Um, 1 month they were in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Another wise act, right? Just don't send them all and at the same time. Doesn't make any sense. It says Adoniram was in charge of the forced laborers. Solomon had 70,000 burden bearers or transporters, people that was his transportation system. They're called, those people were called burden bearers, and 80,000 stonemasons in the hill country of Judah, besides Solomon's 3,300 chiefs, deputies who were in charge of the project and who were in charge of the people doing the stones. Um, that's a lot, boy. That's a lot. In charge of the people doing the work. So he had 3,300 people that were chief deputies that were over all these men, 80,000 stonemasons, 70,000 people that were in charge of carrying all the wood and whatever else, all the timber that they had gotten. That's altogether. We're looking at, just on workers alone, we're looking at per month. Basically, it was it looks like about 160,000 people working on this temple. This is no joke. He's not playing any games to get this done. Love Solomon. And plus, he had the 3,300 chiefs, deputies, the overseers, people that were running this whole shebang. The king gave orders, and they quarried great stones, valuable stones, to lay the foundation of the house or the temple with cut stones. So Solomon builders and Hiram's builders and the men of Gabal cut and chiseled the stones and prepared the timber and the stones to build the house of God. Isn't that wonderful? They got together, got all this done. Now, Second Chronicles reads exactly the same. Um, except for he says a few things that are a little different. So I'm going to go skip straight to verse 3. Then Solomon sent word to Hiram, king of Timber, saying, "As you dealt with my father David and sent him cedars to build himself a house in which to live, do the same for me. Observe, I am about to build a house for the name of the Lord, dedicated to him, to burn fragrant incense of sweet spices before him, to set out the showbread continually, and to offer burnt offerings morning and evening, on Sabbaths, new moons, and on the festivals of the Lord our God, as ordained forever in Israel. The house I'm going to build will be great, for our God is greater than all the gods. But who is able to build a house for him, since the heavens and even the highest heavens cannot contain him? Who am I to build a house for him, except as a place to burn incense before him? Now send me a man who is skilled to work in gold, silver, bronze, and iron, and in purple, crimson, and blue fabrics, and who knows how to make engravings, to work with the skilled men who are with me in Judah and Jerusalem, whom my father David provided. Send me also cedar, cypress, and algum timber, for I know that your servants know how to cut timber in Lebanon." See, it was a little bit more intricate, a little different conversation that he gave in Second Chronicles. And then it says, "And indeed, my servants will." This is what he Hiram answered, "And indeed, my servants will work with your servants." So he's still talking. Sorry, this is actually Solomon saying, prepare for me an abundance of timber, because the house I am about to build will be great and wonderful. And I will give to your servants who cut timber 20,000 measures of crushed wheat and 20,000 measures of barley. So we thought, we're talking about, we call them cores at first. In First Kings 5, these were measures. This is how they measured, wasn't pounds, but they were cores of barley, and 20,000 baths of wine, and 20,000 baths of olive oil. And then Hiram goes on to say, to go on. So he gets to be very specific in verse 13. "Now I am sending a skilled man endowed with understanding, Hurambi, the son of a Danite woman and a Tyrian father. He is trained to work in gold, silver, bronze, iron, stone, and wood, in purple, blue, and crimson fabrics, and in fine linen. He is able to make any kind of engraving and to carry out any design given him. He will work with your skilled men and those of my lord David your father. Now then, let my lord send to his servants the wheat, the barley, the oil, and the wine of which he has spoken. We will cut whatever timber you need from Lebanon and bring it to you on rafts by sea to Joppa, so that you may take it up to Jerusalem." So they're not going to go any further. They know that they're not supposed to go any further than that. They're not going to go to the holy hill. They're not going to go up to Jerusalem. They know that that's where they stop. That's their transportation system. See, going along, they know exactly how to run this thing. So then Solomon took account of all the aliens in the land of Israel, like the census that his father David had taken, and they were found to be 153,600 men. He assigned 70,000 of them to carry loads of, and 80,000 to quarry stone in the mountain, and 3,600 as overseers to make the people work. See, so this is where these people came from. It was about that. That was what we saw. And although I'm going to say that in the other one, it said there were like 3,300 chiefs. In this one, it says it's 3,600 as overseers. There's a little bit of a discrepancy there, but it is there nonetheless, still going. Um, Now we're in 1 Kings chapter 6. Now it came about in the 480th year after the Israelites came out of the land of Egypt, in the fourth year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Ziv, April, which is April, May, which is the second month, that he began to build the Lord's house, or the temple. The length of the house which King Solomon built for the Lord was 60 cubits, which was 90 feet. It was the length of it was 90 feet. That's a long. That's a big house. That's pretty long. It's width 30 feet, and its height 30 cubits, which was about 45 feet. The porch in front of the main room of the house, which is the temple, was 20 cubits long. Um, it's quite a bit too, and that's a lot actually. Corresponding to the width of the house, and its depth in front of the house was 10, about 10, and it ends up being about 19 feet. He also made framed artistic window openings for the house. Against the wall of the house, he built extensions around the walls of the house, around both the main room, the holy place, and the Holy of Holies. So he had extensions around the walls of the house between the holy place and the Holy of Holies. The people could not enter into the Holy of Holies. And it was very important that they protected that, the Holy of Holies, because that's where the Lord dwells. Can I tell you that your body is a temple of the Lord, and this is where the Holy Spirit dwells, and that's the Holy of Holies for you? It's important that we understand how this works for us, and in conjunction with our own bodies, we need to know the mind is so I'll say we're body, soul, and spirit, right? That's what we're supposed to be. So the body is the outer court. The inner court is the inside of our bodies, where I guess where the heart penetrates, and then the Holy Spirit dwells within all of that. That's the Holy of Holies. We go in from the outside of the body to the inside of the body until where our soul is, and that's our the Holy of Holies. And we gotta remember about the Holy of Holies. We gotta make sure that we are protecting our Holy of Holies. That's our guarding our hearts with everything. And the heart's not necessarily the one that beats on the inside. It's your mind, your soul. That's what the enemy's after, and that's what the Jesus died for, so that we do not perish. So that's where we are. I just wanted to make the parallel between what this was being built, this temple that was being built. Our bodies are a temple, and in front of this, he mentions that and I'm going to go a little further, that he builds um, a big altar that's right before the temple. Is huge, because he was when once it was built, he was able to sacrifice of his own 22,000 um, lambs. And so, having said that, we are supposed to be, presenting ourselves as a living sacrifice. We're sacrificing ourselves. We die to ourselves daily. We present ourselves as sacrifice to the Lord, and He dwells within this temple. There are so many parallels that we need to really be cognizant of. Just I'm gonna keep on going though. All right. The lowest story was 5 cubits wide, and the middle was 6 cubits wide, and the third was 7 cubits wide. And he made offsets or niches in the wall all around on the outside of the wall, so that the supporting beams would not be inserted into the walls of the house. While it was being built, the house was built of stone prepared and finished, pre-cut at the quarry, and no hammer, axe, or iron tool of any kind was heard in the house while it was under construction. They did things before they got there. They were not going to disturb the place where the Lord dwells. Do you think about when we go to church? How sometimes we let the children just run around, and we're not reverencing that we're inside the temple. They didn't want any noise. We let, and although we're the temple of God and we're going there to worship, they didn't let just anything happen. There was a time back in the day when we were older, when we were younger, excuse me, and times were, and our parents were older and whatever else, and there was a reverence for the house of God that's not necessarily there now all the time. I've seen, and we've gotten lax. We can't get lax with what's God's. We've got to take a stand. We've got to say, no, this is not okay, and let our children know what's acceptable in that particular temple. And also we need to say to ourselves what we let inside this mind, inside the inner, where the holy of holies is dwelling. We need to keep a guard over that. It's really important, and we've got to say no to some stuff, and got to say no. It's okay to say no to some stuff and protect what God has ordained, and that's you. That's you. It's important that we say no. I mean, it just is. Still going. Got to keep it going. Right. No distractions allowed in the temple. Love that. Love that. So it says, now the word of the Lord came to Solomon, saying, concerning this house which you are building, if you will walk in my statutes and execute my precepts and keep all my commandments by walking in them, then I will carry out my word or my promises with you, which I made to David your father. I will dwell among the sons, the descendants of Israel, and will not abandon my people Israel. If you just keep my commandments, if you just keep my commandments, just do that. Just do that. So Solomon built the house and finished it. He built the walls of the interior of the house, which is the holy place and the holy of holies, with boards of cedar from the floor of the house to the rafters of the ceiling. He overlaid the interior with wood, and he overlaid the floor of the house with boards of cypress. He built 20 cubits on the rear of the house with boards of cedar from the floor to the ceiling. He built its interior as the inner sanctuary, the holy of holies. The rest of the house, that is, the temple in front of the holy of holies, was 40 cubits long. The cedar on the house within had wood carvings in the shape of gourds and open flowers. It's very similar. I'm going to say this to you. It's very similar with the flowers. It's like the first Garden of Eden. I mean, if you think about it, we went from the Garden of Eden, excuse me, don't know what the Eden came from. The Garden of Eden, which was God's first temple, where he was going to be worshipped by Adam and Eve, the first family, went from there because they were sacrificing to him. Remember, because let's not forget Cain and Abel. That's how we got that whole Abel being slumped. He was killed because of the situation. Him being they're sacrificing there. So God was supposed to be, sacrificing in the Garden of Eden. Then we got to finally we ended up with our boy Abraham, who was sacrificing at Moriah, by the way, Mount Moriah, getting ready to sacrifice Isaac. Then we went from there and to our boy Moses, who built an ark of the covenant that was mobile. And then we went from David's building a bigger one, and then well, he moved it and built a bigger one, and then we went from that to now to this, and all of these things, they looked alike. This whole temple he's building, or that he's building right now, is reminiscent of the one from that Moses built, and with the flowers and everything else. All of this is all very reminiscent. It's just like it, just way bigger. And the same thing in the with the flowers, the same kind of flowers that were going on with in the Garden of Eden, and they have cherubims. Remember, the cherubims were the ones that ended up, and I'm going to read about them in a few minutes. Were the ones that were that the Lord made to set in place to guard the Garden of Eden, so nobody could enter it again in that way. And it's the same kind of setup. We've gone from the Lord has these different temples, and they're all the same way. He has not changed the design. He started the design in Eden, and he hasn't stopped. And we're supposed to be guarding our own heart. We're supposed to be guarding our own. He set the cherubim to guard, Eden, and there were the priests that were guarding the temple at night, and they went and they were all, and they laid in formation as they were part of the tribe, the 12 tribes when they were with Moses, and then they went on with David, and there were priests that were guarding that temple, and at night in the Holy of Holies, and now we're here, and he's going to do the same thing. So let's go. It says within the Holy of Holies. Oh, let me get here first. He overlaid the cedar altar with gold. Solomon overlaid the interior of the house with pure gold. And there's altar with gold, and then there's the pure gold. So gold means, like, if he just says gold, like fine gold, that means like gold flecks, gold. It's still gold, but it's not like solid. It's a lot. It's finer. And then Solomon overlaid the interior of the house with pure gold, and he drew chains of gold across the front of the Holy of Holies, the inner sanctuary. Chains of gold. This was the baddest place ever. This was, I mean, just hot, and it was beautiful and opulent. And he overlaid it with gold. Then he overlaid the entire house with gold until the whole house was finished. He also overlaid the entire incense altar, which was by the Holy of Holies, with gold. Within the Holy of Holies, he made two cherubim sculpture figures of olive wood, each 10 cubits high. One wing of the cherub was 5 cubits long, and the other wing was also 5 cubits long. And it was 10 cubits from the tip of one wing to the tip of the other. The wingspan of the other cherub was also 10 cubits. The measurements of the cut and shape of the two cherubim were the same. The height of one cherubim was 10 cubits, as was the other. He put the cherubim above the ark inside the innermost room of the house, and their wings were spread out so that the wing of one touched one wall, and the wing of the other one was touching the other wall, and the inner wings were touching each other in the middle of the house. Solomon also overlaid the cherubim with gold. He carved all the walls of the house all around with carved engravings of cherubim, palm-shaped decorations, and open flowers, both the inner and the outer sanctuaries. He overlaid the floor of the house with gold, both the inner and outer sanctuaries. For the entrance of the Holy of Holies, he made two folding doors of olive wood. He really did some things. This is architecture at its best. This is God's plan. And this is David. I mean, was given this plan by God, clearly. So David was also, one would say he was an architect, and our boy Solomon had the construction company to fulfill this out. This is great. Um, so he made two doors of olive wood, and he carved on them carvings of cherubim, palm-shaped decorations, and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold. And he hammered out overlays of gold on the cherubim and palm decoration. And so this is how this ended up being. So I'm, throwing all this out there to let you know that, and it says exactly the same thing in Second Chronicles, and it's like Second Chronicles 3. I'm going to finish this, but it's wonderful. And the difference is, if we, I will finish it. Now he made the room of the Holy Holies, it's a Holy of Holies, its length equaling the width of the house, was 20 cubits, and its width was 20 cubits. And he overlaid it with 600 talents of fine gold. The weight of the nails was 50 shekels of gold. The weight of the nails, so Second Chronicles is a lot more specific. First Kings is good, but this is real specific. And so it tells you, about the weight of the gold. And then he ends up with this. He also made two pillars in front of the house, 35 cubits high, and the capital on the top of each one was 5 cubits. He made chains like a necklace in the inner sanctuary and put them on the tops of the pillars. And he made 100 pomegranates and put them on the chains. He erected the pillars in front of the temple, one on the right and one on the other on the left. Pomegranates meant richness and wealth, by the way, and fruitfulness because of their many seeds. So pomegranates were a sign of wealth and fertility and growth. So that was a big deal, so that you know. He erected the pillars in front of the temple, one on the right and one on the left, like I said, and named one on the right Jachin. May he establish, that's what Jachin means. And on the one on the left, Boaz, in him is strength. So he had may he establish on one side, on the right, and in him is strength on the left. There we go. And that's how this ends. It's a wonderful chapter. You think about how you're built, and you're a temple. And usually the right hand is the one that signifies strength. The fact that he made the left saying in him is strength lets you know that the Lord's going to give you strength in that area too. And he's strengthening the left. There's nothing, the right is great, but but he's established it, and it's right with his right, but there's strength in the left too. You're not going to be weak on either side. That's what the Lord is saying. It's him. So I'm going to leave you with the Holy of Holies and the fact that you will have a Holy of Holies on the inside of you as well. And the Lord dwells there. And if you have um, time today, I'd like you to, to know that God's inviting you into a relationship with Him, and He wants to save you. It is written in His Word, and I would like you to say this, because He does want to save you, because it says that. Behold, He stands at the door and knock. If any man, come, he wants you to open up that door. And so He's inviting you today. And if you so wish, I'd like you to say this prayer right along with me, so that you can come and join me and the others that are part of 21st Century Watchmen, as part of the family of God. Father, it is written in your word that if I confess with my mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in my heart that you have raised him from the dead, I shall be saved. Therefore, Father, I confess with my mouth that Jesus is my Lord. I make him Lord of my life right now. I believe in my heart that you have raised Jesus from the dead. I renounce my past life with Satan and close the door to any and all of his devices. I thank you for forgiving me for all of my sins. Jesus is my Lord, and I am a new creation. Old things have passed away, and behold, all things are new. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. If you said that prayer with me, you are a new creation. God bless you. We're happy to have you. If you do not have a church home in your area, put your name in the chat and your city. And we have members all over the country, and we'll help you find a church home in your area that's going to welcome you, that's going to help nurture you to become the Christian that you're supposed to be and that God has purposed you to be. And if you do have a church home and you just sort of backslid, put your name in the chat anyway, so that we can celebrate with you. We're all glad to have you. God bless you. Have a great rest of your day. You are the temple of God. You have the Holy of Holies living inside, better known as the Holy Spirit. God bless you.